All right, what's up, everybody? I know it's been a long time since I made a little video on this channel. So I got a lot. I got a lot to talk about, man. A lot on my mind. This might be, yeah. I think it's gonna be one of those videos where it's just gonna be kind of random. you know, um, yeah. You guys ever like? Well, you'd have to have a YouTube channel to understand this, but you ever have like really good ideas, a lot of stuff that you like kind of talk out in your mind, and then you get on like the channel and then you're like, oh man, I totally forgot what I was gonna say, or I mean, you can, like, everybody makes videos differently. Some people do meticulous planning and it's almost like word for word. Some people have bulletin points of like topics, what they're going to talk about. For me, it's like a spark, a thought, boom, and then like everything flows from that. And sometimes, more times than not, actually, is how I roll, is like it goes into subtopics that doesn't have to do originally with the main topic. Things just come like intuitively, like naturally. I like to think of it as naturally, just how things come forth, all from within. And there's a filter process, and sometimes that filter process doesn't always capture everything perfectly. So I'm not going to sit here and say I say and do everything perfectly, guys. Like, you need to take my word for every single thing I ever said. This kind of flows into the first thing that just popped up in my mind that I was thinking about earlier today was, everybody's talking about. I'll put it like this: is everybody talk? The big media events. Everybody wants to talk about it, right? And everybody's got their own conclusion, and everybody is correct, right? Because they're not wrong. Now, a person who has an open mind is willing to say, okay, give me the facts. I want to know what's true. What is true, with these media events and circumstances and politics and not just all the happenings that has been flooded in into the minds of men through media, through technology nowadays. I don't think it was that big of a deal back in the day. So this is a whole new phenomena of a brain, mind, emotion overload. It's overwhelming. And you will find, one thing I can say is, you will find great peace when you stop. Just stop for a day, or minimize it. Let's start small, start slow. Like, minimize your consumption of news and events and everybody's opinions. And this is truth and that's truth, and then it turns into arguments. And this is what politics is left and right, and it turns into arguments. And sometimes it gets so bad to where people get so mind controlled, where it just becomes a normal everyday life, and like they have to have it. It's like a drug. If they don't have it, something feels off. You got to create a new habit to get rid of that. Because you might not consider it a habit or something that could be harmful to your being. One thing I always like to go back to in this revelation is, we know that stress harms the human body. We know that stress harms, it accelerates rapidly. It accelerates aging and the decay process. Now, first, I want to let you know that the decay process is unnatural. This shouldn't even happen. It shouldn't be happening. But we all know the scripture: sin causes death. You can't get around that. You can't explain it any other way. So stress is unnatural. Stress was never meant to be. You know what I mean? The stress that harms. Because when you, for example, if you're working out, that's a stress, but it can turn into a positive. I'm talking about the stress, like the overwhelming stress. You get the heart racing, the fight or flight. When you're listening to a lot of this media, especially if you're a scroller, you're gonna get all these different videos as you scroll, depending on how big your screen is. But if you have a cell phone, you're gonna get a little bit at a time. Maybe one video at a time, depending on how fast you scroll. But if you're doing it from a computer, you got 9 icons per row, and you got like 4 or 5 rows, and you're scrolling, and your brain is being overloaded with all this, not only opinions from other people, but like different topics. So like different opinions with different topics, and you're scrolling. It's just like you're just trying to take it all in. You know what I mean? As you're scrolling, and Is this on accident? Is this on purpose? Is this to further the stress, the decay process of humanity? This is another thing. It kind of ties in of like, you're in control. You're supposed to be in control. You need to realize that you are in control. Because the second you buy into the illusion, like, for example, I don't have a voice. I don't have a voice of expressing my opinion. I know for a fact, socially speaking, the digital world, digitally speaking, social media, I've been shadow banned. I've been blocked. I've seen this on multiple channels. I go back and check on my other YouTube channel on my comments, and they never get posted. They never get posted. It doesn't matter the YouTube channel that I post on. I've realized this. I've tested this over and over and over again. This is the proof, 100% incontrovertible proof that I've realized that my channel has been completely. It's not even my channel. It's me. Like whatever. Like they know my IP. They know my IP address. They know, like, it doesn't matter if I change emails. It doesn't matter. And the truth is I don't care. I know there's ways around it, but I don't care that much to try to get my voice out. What I do care about is expressing myself freely, and I'll always be able to express myself freely. And this channel hasn't been totally shadow banned, but it's been like it's a lesser form where it's like shadow boxing. Where it's like the illusion, like shadow boxing. Imagine shadow boxing as a boxer, and he's about to go in a ring. He's thinking he's fighting somebody real, but he's shadow boxing. He's punching air. You know what I mean? Sometimes people will see that. You know what I mean? Sometimes, most of the time, people won't. So the algorithms, the AI, it's definitely a lot of it's AI driven, guys. But there's real life people who initiated a sequence of like, okay, this guy. We need to hush him up. We need to keep him quiet before he gets too big, because obviously he's becoming aware of a lot of things. So if they can keep you, digitally speaking, if they can keep you small, then in their opinion, the elitists, we'll just call them the elitists, the powers that be, that don't really have anything to do with the government or anything. I'm talking about like the higher realms, the resistance, the ones that just don't want like freedom and love and true love and understanding and just unity, stuff like that. Those are the ones who are really kind of like in control of this. So they look at people who are kind of waking up, becoming aware. They really control the flow. They control the flow of like information, digitally speaking. But this is the illusion, is like when you start to believe and buy into that illusion, like, I'm being controlled, and they're telling me what to say and how to say it, when to say it. Guys, it doesn't even matter if it gets so bad to where the mark of the beast of what everybody imagined in the worst case scenario, and everybody's religious mindset where it's all horrible. When they read Revelation, the imagination kickstarts, right? It starts igniting, and the imagination starts, and it's like you develop a whole movie of what Revelation is. Just based on the surface level of what you read. Well, even if it came to all that in this fullness, blatantly, okay. You're still in control. Nobody controls you. Nobody truly forces you to do anything. You know what I mean? It's all you. So if they can convince you that, I don't have a voice, I'm not. People aren't seeing me of what I feel like I need to reach to the people. They're not going to be able to hear what I have to say. Well, like there's the control gets crazy, but like it does start a lot. Like the step one is with social media. But we've seen this. They say screw social media, we'll hit the streets, and then you got the people who are under the hardcore mind control of the police force. Those are the basic soldiers who are in the system, who want to keep the people in order and in check. And people in the world don't understand this concept, because they want to be like, well, the police force is good, and to a certain extent it should be in a perfect world. There shouldn't even be police forces in a perfect world, but that's just the big mind control, man. Is like you step out of line, you start expressing yourself freely, and I'm not talking about in your own, like, because I have to divide the line. I have to get clear with here, like, of expressing your freedoms freely is like, because you could be running naked and saying, well, I'm just expressing my freedoms freely. Well, see, because there is moral standards, or there is something that ingrained within each and every one of us of like what is right and what is wrong. This is called the conscience. Your conscience. Okay, this is your conscience, and that streaking naked down the street is not a moral or proper thing to do. So when I say you're expressing your rights and your freedoms, you always go back to the founding fathers. and they wrote things intentionally for the future generations so that certain people, other men, would not put you under a spell, a hex, an illusion that they are the ones holding all the chips. So people like me come along and tell you, hey, you're free. You remember Jesus, they were eating at a table, you can use your imagination. I always develop movies in my mind when I read the Bible, and it's like you could just imagine just relaxing, having a good time. People get way too religious with the Bible. It's like they were relaxing, eating food. Someone comes in, one of the disciples says, what do you think about paying taxes? What do you say? And Jesus is basically saying, like, nobody, like, this is your land. Like, don't you guys realize that I created this world for you? This is your land. You don't have to pay another man for the land that I gave to all man. Like, don't you guys see the illusion and deception that you're under? And he says it like this in ways to where he doesn't say it so directly, but those who have the Spirit and they read this and they can see it clearly is with how I'm trying to explain it to you guys, is nobody can put you under illusion, or nobody can control you, and then there's the ignorant. There's the people who use that in the other side of the spectrum, and they say, well, this is my land. I'm just going to go trespassing on my neighbor's property because all land is ours. Well, this is where respect comes in and common sense. It's like I got my little area, you got your little area. We all got our little families. We don't go intruding. We don't go knocking in other people's doors without knocking first, respectfully. It's all about respect and honor and dignity, and just this is all stuff you shouldn't have to explain to another human being. But we're living in such a generation where we have to get back to the basics of the basics and remind all human beings of like how to live and how to be human, it seems. You know what I mean? Because it's like the illusion's getting so pushed in and pressurized within the soul of man to where we're almost becoming robots, like for real. And I try to speak to people who, and it's like they told me straight up with their own words, like, you're talking to a brick wall. You know what I mean? And it's actually someone who I gave my information out to. They might even watch this channel. You know what I mean? It's no disrespect. It's just the fact of like when you try to wake somebody up, that the fact that the blue pill and the red pill is an illusion. Politics, is an illusion. To make you feel like you have a right, to make you feel like you have a vote, to make you feel like you have a voice. You know what I mean? When really, what are you talking about? Who, you're giving them, you're the one who's giving them the power to rule. It's like you don't need anybody to rule over you. Only God should rule over us. And that's how it is. But we as man have all complicated everything. And this is why you see all this panic and mayhem and confusion and problems, and everybody's got their own freaking opinions about everything. Like, scroll down the comment section on any video and you will hear conflicting arguments, and you will hear arguments upon arguments within sub comments, and it's insane. And everybody can agree on that, but then the very next hour within the same day, they're falling into the very trap because it has that much of a hold on man. The digital media, the social media. So, like, I don't really care if my channel is getting shadow banned, because internally I know a lot of my stuff revolves around, like, exposing the darkness and telling the truth. A lot of it has to do with nofap and semen retention, because it, that's a whole nother topic, man. It has endless benefits for a man and a woman, but, like, my audience is men mostly. So it's like they'll try to shadow ban you, right? But it's like internally I know that every man that is meant to hear this knowledge from heaven is going to hear it. And then there will be no excuse of like you saying to yourself, oh, masturbation isn't a sin. I can masturbate and not degenerate. Like, and it's explaining stuff on a basic level, beyond a basic level, to where a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, maybe a 10-year-old just entering puberty. If you're a father and you explain to your son about the life force energy and the seed and the semen and the potency of it, the powerful force. This is the life force energy that strengthens a man. It says, do not give your strength to a woman. There's so many other verses in the Bible that explain it in such a stupid, easy way, like Barney style, to where it's like you don't need to try to say, oh, it's an analogy or all this other crazy stuff that's going on, trying to trip up people and say that Jesus never existed, or, oh, he existed, but he was just a man. Everything's an analogy and all this stuff. Dude, it's nuts, man. And this is like going back to like what I'm trying to say is like you'll have people tell you all this stuff and they'll say this is true because this is my opinion, but like this is what really happened. No, this is what really happened. I've heard people say it's a sacrifice. The plane crashes was a sacrifice. I've heard them say just crazy stuff, guys. Like it's nuts, man. It's nuts. It's going too far. But here's the point I'm trying to make is like if you listen to everybody, dude, you're gonna be pulled every which way. I was going to go back to say, God and his people, we don't need none of this stuff, right? We are content. We chill, we meditate, we relax, we're joyful, we're peaceful. It's like the moment we get caught up into the world mess that we start to become stressful, that we start to feel uncomfortable. They don't get it. They almost hate you for it when you step away and say, I don't want nothing to do with this. It's easy to get sucked in, because the flesh is still kind of there, knocking at the door. But you become more and more aware, as a chosen child of God. It's just like this world has nothing to offer me with all of its opinions and beliefs and status quos. You know what I'm saying, man? And it's like, it's all nonsense. It drags you down. It lowers your vibrational frequency as a man. It puts you in a bad mood. It puts you in a stressful mood. It puts you in a tense mood, It doesn't bring peace. It's like gossip. It's very like, ooh, but does it really truly benefit your life? And this is stuff you need to ask yourself. Don't look at me as someone who's preachy. Like, you need to ask these things to yourself. It's like, is this stuff really benefiting me? Like, looking into the worldly things, what is it doing? Am I going to carry this type of mentality and soul into heaven, into eternity, if you're a believer? Like, do you think that's going on in heaven, all the comings and goings and the intricacies of the world? Like, leave that up to God. You know what I mean? Be in your own peaceful atmosphere with God. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are reunited in God through Christ Jesus. So let that happen. The moment that gets like hindered and disrupted is when you step into the mindset of the world with all the crap, and you'll hear all the opinions of the world and just the world, the comings and the goings and the busybodies of the world, man. And it stresses a child of God out. The people of the world, they don't understand. They have no comprehension. They will look at you with a blank face. They will literally try to like understand what you're saying, because they don't know what you're saying. That's how bad the mind control is. The Lord says that there's scales over the eyes, is a symbolism of like eyes is your sight. If you don't see, you're tripping in the dark, you're tripping over, you don't know what's ahead of you, you don't know what's behind you, you don't know if you're about to jump off a cliff or walk off a cliff, you don't know. And that's what it's like, is like they don't get it, they don't see. So you can't really necessarily hold it against them. But like shifting up this topic is like that's another battle, is like waking people up. Waking people up is like half of our duty as man, as children of God. It is our duty. You've been put in the ranks in the heavenly armies while you're here in the flesh, on this world. You know what I mean? To also free the minds of men, because you have Christ in you. So it should come supernaturally, because it's not a natural thing. Man will try to do other things in a natural way and try to get natural results, and thinking that it's something going to do something. You can't do that. You can't live natural and expect supernatural results. You have to live supernatural. The only way to be supernatural and live supernatural is to have Christ Jesus in you. This is the unity, the oneness of God. So I don't know what else I want to talk about. There's so much more in my mind, man, and it kind of just flowed out like that. It's just like the social media thing, man. It's like with that whole airplane crash, bro. It's like you hear so many different opinions and conflicting beliefs, and it's like, well, now I'm if you let it, you're like, well, now I'm kind of confused. What the heck? What really happened? What's going on? And this is just an example of like event after event. You want to get to the bottom of it naturally, but think about this. Don't get sucked in. Like, don't get sucked in. I'm not telling you to be heartless if you happen across a headline or something. But like, come on, man. Like, because of the social media and the digital world, like everything is flooded to you. Everything. Where like 200 years ago, let's just say before technology, there was much more peace in the world overall. You know what I mean? There are still wars, and that's still a problem. But man, it'd be really, really interesting to just hop up in a time machine and go back 200 years and just witness humanity, and then come back to the, early Like I'd say any time after 2000, and you would see it'd be night and day, man. And you know, the truth is you don't need a time machine. You look up history, guys, and just witness like how humanity was overall in a very broad spectrum. You'll notice, and you'll say, and this might just wake you up and say, oh dang, man, yeah, I am getting sucked in, and it happens slowly. You know what I mean? It happens really slowly, to where you're just, if nobody wakes you up, if there's not a Morpheus around you, you're gonna get sucked in so deep to where you're gonna be one of those puppets, man, in the world, thinking that you're not. You know what I mean? So just like, bro, like chill out on the whole world news, the whole world media, everybody's opinions. Just relax, meditate with God. And if you're a child of God, I can promise you that you will come out of that meditation giggly, laughing, joyful, upbeat. The tensions and the stresses of whatever has been latching onto you will fall off and fade off, because you're connecting with God. You don't need to do anything religious with God. Just be with Him. Why do they call you a human being? Because you're being a human. But not many people are being human, so therefore they're turning them into robots. And this is the 4D, 5D reptilians' agenda, to turn everybody into pure domination, dominated, controlled, basically, essentially robot slaves. They're even going so far, I know you guys know about this, some of you probably do, about the integration that this has been going on for a while. Maybe some are just newly discovering it, but the integration of technology with humanity as far as a consciousness integration. Not just like, hey, I'm going to be sitting at my laptop or computer. That's not an integration, because you can walk away from that, you can smash it, and it's no part of you. But they're trying to integrate it, to infiltrate you completely. That's their goal. So just be aware of stuff, but don't let it like drown you out and suck you into where it controls you. Like, understand, like, realize, and you can make that choice. You know, you can make that choice, but make sure you're making that choice fully conscious as a human being. You know. So hope you guys have a good day, man. We'll see you on another video. Peace.